A Veteran's Perspective on Staying Warm by Tracy Farrow. Humor and perspective only a veteran can understand. We all have war stories. Often we will add to them to make them more exciting. Usually folks who have never walked a mile in our boots, much less tried them on, will not believe what we are telling them. A veteran, however, will listen with understanding even when there may be skepticism. A veteran knows that even stories filled with hooey may contain a particle of truth. In this case, there is no need to sift through the story to find the particle of truth. It contains no hooey. The story is perhaps a little more relevant and meaningful right now to our bulletin readers up north, where it is considerably colder than down here on the Gulf Coast. The other day I was eating lunch with some younger VA employees at the Blind Rehabilitation Center in Biloxi, Mississippi, and we were all lamenting about how cold it was and that none of us liked much cold weather. After discussing ways to stay warm, I flashed back to a day a long time ago in a very cold winter somewhere south of Pine Bluff, Nebraska. I was still somewhat new to the Air Force with only 1 or 2 stripes. I was assigned to the 90th Transportation Squadron, 90th Strategic Missile Wing, F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I was the team member of a 2-man mobile maintenance team that went out in the missile field and would respond to vehicle breakdowns and go to every launch control facility, LCF, in the 2 eastern squadron areas. Our job was also to do preventative checks on every vehicle in the field at least once during our 3-day tours. It was a tremendous amount of driving and could get pretty boring at times. In the winter, of course, it would be not only boring, but sometimes extremely cold. Our call sign was Mobile 129, and our truck was identified by the numbers 76C360. It was a Dodge 1-ton regular, old 4x4 with dual wheels and a big box on the back. These vehicles also had a couple of huge gas tanks because we didn't want to run out of gas in the middle of nowhere when the wind chill was minus 10 degrees. We nicknamed our team leader Doc Severinsen after the famous trumpeter on The Tonight Show. Boy, those were the good old days. His name really was Severinsen, but I can't remember for anything his real first name, so Doc it is here. Anheuser-Busch has killed too many brain cells over the years. Anyway, Doc was a really good guy with 3 stripes. As somebody new to the Air Force and just learning the ropes, I looked up to him. Being the young team member that I was, I got all the low-level jobs such as fueling the truck. This was done with above-ground gravity tanks. Our truck had a 60-gallon tank in the back and a filler neck that came out the side at the 5.5-foot level. With a gravity feed system, the nozzle would not shut off automatically. One had to listen for the fuel filling the neck and shut it off accordingly. Otherwise, the tank would burp and spew out fuel. On one cold winter day, with the wind howling somewhere in the 300-mile-per-hour range, in that area where only it could, I had to fill the truck. It was so cold and numb that I couldn't hear a thing except my griping to myself about how cold it was and how cold I was. The tank filled. I shivered, and then it burped and soaked me, my field jacket, and most of my clothes with gasoline. I was, I feel, justifiably annoyed, ranting about how cold I was and now covered with gasoline. Doc told me to quit whining and to get used to it, since winter was nowhere close to being over. Of course, I continued to gripe. This is where a veteran's perspective comes in. Seeing me so cold and moaning about it as much as I was, Doc then reached into his pocket, pulled out his Zippo lighter, and proceeded to light me on fire. Now, a civilian looking on would be horrified and begin using words like cruel, mean, dangerous, and the like. Military personnel, on the other hand, wouldn't use any such words, and maybe no words at all. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't, as they were all laughing hysterically at the young fool who was running around like Richard Pryor. Yeah, I did stop, then dropped, then rolled. I was out of breath, too, not out of fear, but because I, too, was laughing so hard. But at last I got what I wanted, and I was now warm.